Hello, I am Elaine Martin, Director of the Countway Library, and I'd like to welcome you to Voices from the Community, highlighting the staff, resources, and services of the Countway Library. Although the physical library has been closed during the pandemic, library resources and services and staff are open and available for helping you. I'm here with my colleagues, Paul Bain, Meredith Solomon, Emily Gustainis, Len Levin, and Luciana Witowski to talk to you about library services during this time. Let me first have them introduce themselves, and then we'll talk about these services and resources. Paul, would you like to go first?
Oh, sure. Thanks, Elaine. So my name is Paul Bain. I'm a research and instruction librarian. My job description is really pretty short. I help people find stuff. That might mean that I'm helping people find answers to quick questions, or I might be finding material for an extensive review project. I also teach people how to find things like clinical evidence and other kinds of materials to support their research.
Great. Emily.
Hi, I'm Emily Gustainis, Deputy Director for the Center for the History of Medicine. With Scott Witowski, I provide leadership and program oversight for Countway staff working with special collections, institutional records, and more anatomical museum objects, artifacts, and specimens.
Len?
Hi, I'm Len Levin. I'm the Associate Director for Research, Instruction, and Collections. I'm going to be talking mostly about our current collections today.
Meredith?
Hello, my name is Meredith Solomon, and I am the Outreach Officer here at Countway and the Peabody Society Librarian. My job is to connect Harvard Medical School, Harvard School of Dental Medicine, and Harvard T.H. Chan School of Public Health students, staff, and faculty to Countway resources and programming, as well as help foster a welcoming environment at Countway for the greater Longwood community.
And Luciana?
Hi, I'm Luciana Witowski. I'm a project coordinator at the Countway Library. My main focus is everything having to do with the renovation, whether that's coordinating, promoting, organizing. It's a lot of fun. However, during this time, I've really been focusing on coordinating a lot of well-being and fun activities for the staff while working remotely.
Great, thanks everybody. So let's talk about the many changes that we've experienced during this time and how your role has changed and what different services we've offered. So Paul, let's start with you again.
So my job has changed surprisingly little, and we're still quite busy. My colleagues and I have fielded something like 400 requests since between March and the end of June, which is pretty much the same that we did in the previous year. So work is largely the same, and it's about the same volume. We do systematic reviews, we support instruction, and the only thing that's really different is the medium that we're using. Now it's Zoom meetings, and we do a lot of recorded sessions. We recently, this winter, we were a little bit ahead of the game. This winter, we put a course for the primary care clerkship students on evidence-based medicine into an online format, and so we were all ready to go with that when the pandemic came along. No foresight there; it was just dumb luck. But so we're catching up and learning to cope with things. But the job is largely the same.
Right, Emily, what about you in the center?
So as a team, the center quickly transitioned to providing services remotely, including remote research consultations, remote reference, and virtual office hours. And in the fall, this will also include online instructional sessions, such as those to help students discover and access digitized rare books, manuscripts, institutional records, and museum holdings. Currently, we're providing medical, dental, and school of public health departments and the Faculty of Arts and Sciences with curricular support and content integration, which is something that we've always done. We're offering record management trainings and RDM instruction with Countway's Research Data Services Librarian, discovering new ways of doing things, such as working with donors to appraise born digital records via Zoom, and implement new descriptive approaches that will permanently change how we communicate information about our collections. With research, instruction, and collections resources, we have been working on a holdings inventory that will serve the greater Harvard Library with cooperative collecting efforts. But it should be said that while we have plenty of work to do remotely, we are enjoying a return to campus and having access to the center's rich primary resources in order to serve patrons. And it's always good to make progress on projects that can always be tackled on site.
Great. Thanks, Emily. Len, could you follow up and talk more about the collections and how our usage and service has changed related to access to collections?
Mm-hmm. So during the past few months, we've seen a dramatic increase in resource usage, especially in titles of, as you'd expect, virology and infectious disease. And this tells me that we've been collecting the right materials from the start. As for some numbers, I have one example from one of our ebook packages where usage compared from May 2019 to this year, May 2020, usage rose 173%.
Wow.
Which tells us that our users are still engaged with the resources that they need to do their work. We're also midway through conducting a major inventory of our print collection. And obviously with the library being closed, working with print has been difficult. Yet we're fortunate that we're able to put into use some very old resources. This set of 10-volume books that were published in 1973 that are records of the collection of both the Boston Medical Library and the Harvard Medical Library from before 1960. And by using the images of the titles in this book, we've been able to continue the inventory even though we've all been out. And we didn't, we missed maybe one day. And we've been carrying on straight through since.
Great, thanks. So Meredith, what about your role? How has that changed?
Well, pre-COVID, the outreach department would send out monthly newsletters titled Countway Connections and weekly newsletters titled Construction at Countway, as well as hold events like Countway Cuddles, Pop-Up Thursdays, author series, and more. But since the COVID pandemic, my office has done its best to improve our communication by changing the monthly newsletter from Countway Connections to Librarian as Second Responder to show our community how Countway Library is playing an important role in the pandemic. Our weekly construction newsletter was put on hiatus while our construction project was put on hiatus, but now both are back up and running. The largest role that I think I and other departments have played since the pandemic started and since we started working remotely was I and others are part of a Countway emergency team that Elaine had collected folks to be a part of. This team met daily at 10 a.m. every morning for 30 to 60 minutes, sometimes depending on discussion topics and changes that came from Harvard leadership. We held monthly staff meetings since we've been virtual to make sure that our staff is updated on any work-related changes due to the pandemic. And then we transitioned in early June from an emergency team to what we're calling our implementation team. We added a few new members of that team and began working on our restart plan in coordination with the HMS Business Continuity Task Force, so we can ramp up and begin the on-site work that we're currently doing.
And Luciana, what about you?
So before the pandemic, I would say that 85% of my time was spent on coordinating the library renovation. So I would work very closely with the construction crew on an everyday basis, as well as keep staff informed through a weekly newsletter on construction updates. So with that being said, my tasks and the project that I was used to focusing on shifted dramatically during the pandemic. My Staff on Track newsletter regarding all things renovation turned into a newsletter regarding all things COVID-19. And this newsletter is really a great way to not only share information, but also allow staff to stay connected. Another cool little thing that I did was I was able to jumpstart a director's corner with Elaine and another colleague, Allison Herrera. And this started from Elaine sending weekly messages to the staff about topics surrounding the pandemic and how Countway was adjusting to working remotely. So we ended up making these messages into weekly blog posts, created a Director's Corner landing page on our website, and have now decided to keep posting these blogs into the foreseeable future. So the goal now with this is to really serve as a resource for Harvard faculty, students, staff, the Longwood medical area, as well as the community to stay updated on all the happenings at the library. And lastly, I hosted a few more smaller social honoring events for the staff, such as virtual happy hours, team talk, where I randomly assigned partners and they scheduled a Zoom call to chat, as well as a story slam session. So overall, I think the events were successful and I had a really great time coordinating them.
Yeah, I think we managed to be able to maintain our services and create some new ones that could continue in the future. So what have you learned or what surprised you most about working in the pandemic? I know for myself, some things maybe weren't necessarily learned differently, but sort of reaffirmed, for example, that the library and its investments over time of the institution and electronic resources have really paid off. It's been important to be able to have the vast array of books and journals and all online so that our researchers and educational faculty and patient care service providers can access evidence-based information when they need it, where they need it, at the time of need. And yet at the same time, access to the physical collection is important too. People wanted access to the collection that Countway has, which is one of the best in the world. And here we are now on site trying to make those print resources that are not available electronically available to our research and education and patient care community. So what about you? What else have you learned during this or reaffirmed during this time? Paul, let's start with you.
Sure. It's kind of surprising. I think, first of all, I've learned how much I value human contact. You know, in the library, you'd meet your colleagues and the patrons and you could catch up on projects or personal stories. And I can't do that anymore. And I miss it. It's a little heartbreaking. And I didn't realize how important that all was to me. You know, the library is kind of a crossroads of the institution where people meet and get together and start projects and talk. It's really kind of it builds community in a way that, and we've lost that. And I really value that the library has that role in the institution, that it, you know, as a space, it builds community. I also have, you know, I've been working pretty effectively online, and I never would have realized that this was something that I could do with some aplomb. It's great. And so that's a positive story. I think that, you know, I have some confidence. And going forward in the future, we'll be doing things remotely more, which will be a good thing because our campus really is global and I can be where our patrons are quite confidently now.
And Emily?
Well, I think access to historical records and perhaps more than ever, records related to the history of medicine and to public health in times of crisis is absolutely critical. Many people assume that everything is digitized and that it is just a matter of pointing to the right link. And this is far from the truth. I think it's been really important to engage people over the value of physical collections and promoting democratic access to them. On a personal note, I think I echo Paul's sentiments when he says that I do miss interacting with my colleagues. Proximity yields collaboration, and so much of remote interactions with peers is sort of scheduled, and it's often the spontaneous conversations that are the most fruitful.
Len?
Following up on what you said, Elaine,
Mm-hmm.
I've been surprised at, again, how much our print collection is valued by our users. And yes, we have an excellent online collection, and that's very important for our users to be able to access things at their desktop. But over the years, many of our colleagues, many libraries have been sort of moving away from their print collections and not really, I think, understanding how valuable they may still be seen. Just today, we had a request from someone who's working on a grant, and they were looking for a book that's at our offsite storage facility on vaccination campaigns 1948 to 1961, published by the World Health Organization. We have that here at Harvard. We were able to put the network into place, and this patron will now be able to pick up this item at one of the libraries in Cambridge later this week. People still look to our legacy print collections as very valuable for the work that they do.
Mm-hmm. Great. Meredith?
I'd have to say the pandemic has actually showed me that the staff at Countway are, as I already knew, a truly dedicated group of individuals who want to work with and help our students, staff, and faculty where they are. So honoring them where they are and when they need us.
And Luciana?
So I think we can all agree that we never anticipated living and working through a global pandemic. So the past several months have definitely been a shock, and every day brought a different challenge or surprise. But really by the end of the day, I can say that I'm inspired by my colleagues at Harvard, by their willingness to step up to the plate and take on more tasks to get the work done as effectively as possible given various circumstances. I'm grateful for my job and for the opportunity to bring people together and practice social honoring, as I really think it's crucial during this time.
So what are you all looking forward to when HMS campus returns to something else closer to normal? I know for me, the number one answer would be the renovated new Countway, and welcoming you all into this new exciting space that we have planned and reconnecting with each other in a new space where new collaborations and connections can take place in a safe and healthy environment. But how about you, Paul?
Well, I'm with you, Elaine. I want to see people in the new space. I want to see people coming through the new door on Huntington Avenue. I'm going to stand there for 20 minutes just giggling about people coming through that door. And then I'm looking forward, of course, to seeing my colleagues and the patrons that are regular and having a chance to chat and catch up and just being in the space again where it will feel like home.
Len?
Well, as we talked about before, much of our collection, our current collection, is now online. That means people can access materials they need from their desktop. They only know 20 years ago they would have had to walk across the quad in the snow and photocopy an article, and they don't need to do that anymore, and that's good. But there are still collections that we have, not just the legacy collections, but two off the top of my head. We have a humanities and medicine collection that we started recently, and this is a collection of books not about the science of medicine, but about the practice of medicine, about physicians, about healing, about narratives, biographies. We also have a new graphic medicine collection. Mm-hmm. This is comics and medicine, and this is a format that it really doesn't work well or as well if you try to load it on your computer. You need to be able to sit down and interact with these books. And these are the kind of books we're going to continue to be collecting in the Countway, and we're looking forward to being able to offer them again to our users. One more thing I'm looking forward to being able to use again is our short story dispenser. We have a machine in the library that walk up to, you push a button, and it randomly spits out a 3 or 5 minute short story that you can take with you and read wherever you'd like to go. And that'll have a prominent place again once the renovations are done and once they're open again to the public.
Thanks, Len. How about Emily? What about you?
Well, I think certainly I speak for myself and the rest of the staff that we look forward to hosting our researchers again, including our fellows. We have over 7 centuries worth of unique special collections that we manage and make accessible, not just to students, faculty, and staff, but to the Longwood Medical Area community and the public at large. And this is a collection that is one of the best in the world. So we want people to use it and experience it firsthand, not just through virtual reference, whenever possible. I know it'll be wonderful to have the Warren Anatomical Museum reinstalled, especially with new objects and artifacts that have never before been exhibited. And we're going to have new exhibits on the ground floor, also on L1. And we'll also start circulating some new things that we haven't had a chance yet to do, such as our 3D printed bone boxes, which I think will be a lot of fun. And while it may take some time, we're certainly looking forward to hosting tours again and providing on-site instructional sessions, and go back to hosting the many events and programs in the new renovated space.
Meredith?
I'm most looking forward to walking through the campus, actually, again, when it's much fuller than it is now, and seeing familiar faces from previous events that I posted, to meeting new students, staff, and faculty who may be less familiar with the wealth of knowledge and information that Countway has to offer them. I'm looking forward to doing the in-person events again, though I might have to rethink how some of them are done, like our Pop-Up Thursday, our monthly popcorn event. But I am truly excited, as you mentioned, Elaine, for the community, Longwood and beyond, to see our newly renovated space and see how it creates new relationships and new collaborations.
And Luciana?
I am most looking forward to bringing projects and events to life in person of course, while adhering to health and safety protocols. When the time comes where a majority of us are back on site, I would love to put on more events, because I think transitioning back to on-site work from remote work will be, it will bring new challenges. So recognizing these challenges and coming together to practice social honoring in person will be just as, if not more important, than making sure everybody felt connected at home, if that makes sense. So, lastly, of course, I can't wait to see the renovation wrap up and start planning a grand opening, whether that's virtual or in person or a little bit of both. So overall, I can say that the Countway Library has definitely moved from surviving to thriving, and we will continue to stay optimistic of the library's future and all it has to offer.
So on that note, we'd just like to tell you that despite all the challenges of working remotely and difficulties during this time, that Countway Library has been able to leverage these as opportunities to continue to offer the needed services for research, education, and patient care. And we look forward to welcoming you in person when you're ready in the new renovated space, soon we hope. And thank you again for this opportunity to talk to you today about Countway Library. That's this week's episode of Voices from the Community. Thank you for joining us. Stay well and keep safe.